ancient megalithic structures built before the Great Flood, long before the rise of Egypt's pyramids, before the Sumerians carved the first cuneiform tablets, before recorded history itself. The earth may have been home to civilizations so ancient they are now little more than myth. Around the world, ancient traditions speak of a great cataclysm, a deluge that wiped out nearly all of humanity and reset civilization. The Great Flood is remembered in the Bible as the story of Noah, in Sumerian lore as Utinapishtim's tale, in Hindu texts as Manu's rescue by the fish god Matsya, and in countless other cultures across continents. But what if these stories were not merely symbolic? What if remnants of those pre-flood civilizations still stand among us? Carved in stone, too massive to erase, too ancient to fit neatly into history. For centuries, scholars have debated the origins of Earth's oldest megaliths. Some claim they were built by primitive farmers, using simple tools. Others whisper that they predate all known cultures, relics of a world that ended in the Great Flood. As we uncover more ancient sites and apply modern science, the possibility grows that human civilization is far older and more advanced than we've ever been taught. The story begins in southeastern Turkey. We're on a dusty hill called Göbekli Tepe. Enormous, T-shaped stone pillars rise from the earth. Each one weighs up to 20 tons, carved with images of animals, snakes, foxes, vultures, and scorpions in astonishing detail. When archaeologists began excavating the site in the 1990s, they expected to find a settlement from the Neolithic period. What they discovered instead rewrote human history. Radiocarbon dating revealed Göbekli Tepe was over 11,000 years old, built around 9,500 BCE, long before the advent of agriculture or metal tools. That makes it twice as old as Stonehenge, and at least 6,000 years older than the Great Pyramid of Giza. The most extraordinary revelation was not just the site's age, but its sophistication. The builders organized vast circular enclosures with precision, lifted multi-ton stones, and decorated them with symbolic art. They built a temple, not a shelter. This suggests they were already spiritually and socially advanced at a time when most of humanity was still living in small, nomadic bands. What kind of culture could have achieved such coordination, artistry, and technical skills so early? Some researchers believe Göbekli Tepe could be the surviving memory of a civilization that existed before the Great Flood, the one that myths say was destroyed. The flood, according to geological and mythological evidence, may not have been entirely fictional. Around 12,800 years ago, near the end of the last ice age, a cataclysmic event occurred known as the Younger Dryas. Global temperatures plummeted, glaciers melted, and sea levels rose by over 400 feet. Many scientists now suspect that a comet impact or a massive solar event triggered sudden flooding across continents. If that event was the Great Flood of legend, it could have erased an entire era of civilization, leaving behind only the hardest stone monuments as evidence. Could Göbekli Tepe have been built by survivors of that earlier world, people trying to preserve the memory of what was lost? Some archaeologists note that after centuries of use, the site was intentionally buried under tons of earth and rubble around 8,000 BCE. It was not destroyed by enemies or nature. It was carefully entombed. Why would anyone bury a sacred site unless they wanted to protect it, perhaps from an approaching cataclysm? Further west, near the Mediterranean, another ancient mystery may hold clues to pre-flood civilizations. Off the coast of modern-day Lebanon stands Baalbek, an immense platform of stone blocks so massive that even today, their movement would require cranes the size of skyscrapers. At the base of the site lies the so-called trilithon. 3 colossal stones, each weighing around 800 tons, fitted perfectly into place. Nearby lies an even larger block, the stone of the pregnant woman, estimated at over 1,000 tons. While the Romans later built temples atop the platform, some believe the base predates them by thousands of years. Who could have moved such enormous stones long before recorded history? Modern engineers have struggled to explain it. Even with today's technology, lifting such blocks would be an extraordinary challenge. No written record explains their construction, and no tools or equipment have been found nearby. Some theorists suggest Baalbek's foundations were built by a far older culture, perhaps the same one that constructed Göbekli Tepe, a society wiped away by the flood but remembered in myths as the gods or giants. who once walked the earth. Traveling south into Egypt, the Great Pyramid of Giza dominates the desert horizon. For millennia, it has stood as the ultimate symbol of ancient genius. Yet evenary whispers of a pre-flood legacy persist. The ancient Egyptians themselves claimed their civilization descended from earlier followers of Horus, divine beings who brought knowledge of architecture, astronomy, and mathematics from a golden age before the deluge. The Sphinx, carved from bedrock beside the pyramids, may hold the key. Its weathered body shows patterns of erosion that many geologists argue were caused not by desert winds, but by heavy rainfall that last occurred in this region over 9,000 years ago. If that's true, the Sphinx predates Egypt's dynasties by thousands of years, pushing its creation back into the era before the flood. The notion of an older, forgotten epoch beneath Egypt's sands challenges every assumption about human progress. It suggests that civilization didn't begin around 3000 BCE, as our textbooks say, but much earlier than suffered a near-total collapse. The pyramids, in this theory, were not beginnings, but echoes, rebuildings of something remembered dimly from before the cataclysm. Across the Mediterranean, in Malta, ancient limestone temples such as Kagahima Nostra also defy explanation. These structures, with their massive stone slabs and precise astronomical alignments, date back to around 360 BCE, yet local legends speak of their builders as giants who arrived before the flood. The temple's interiors are filled with spirals and goddess figurines, symbols of fertility and rebirth. Their placement aligns perfectly with solstices and equinoxes, suggesting a deep understanding of celestial cycles. But what is most intriguing is their proximity to underwater ruins. Off the coast of Malta, submerged structures that could have once been above sea level before rising oceans swallowed them. If these are remnants of pre-flood temples, then Malta may have been part of a thriving coastal civilization lost beneath the waves. Underwater archaeology has indeed uncovered sites that hint at this forgotten world. Off the coast of Japan lies Yonaguni, a submerged complex discovered in 1986. At depths of 25 meters, divers found terraces, platforms, and steps carved into solid rock, resembling a city built with geometric precision. While some argue the formation is natural, the sharp angles and straight lines suggest deliberate shaping. If Yonaguni was built by human hands, it would date to at least 10,000 BCE, placing it squarely in the pre-flood era. Rising sea levels at the end of the Ice Age could have submerged it, leaving only stone traces behind. Similar underwater structures have been found near India's Gulf of Kumhut, where sonar scans reveal the city-like complex lying beneath 120 feet of water. Artifacts recovered from the site suggest human habitation over 9,000 years ago. In the Caribbean, submerged ruins near Cuba's western coast also show rectilinear patterns consistent with human design. If all these sites are genuine, they support the idea that many of humanity's earliest civilizations lived along ancient shorelines, all of which were drowned when the seas rose after the Great Flood. High in the Andes, in Peru, and Bolivia, other megalithic enigmas point to advanced stonework predating the Inca. At Puma Punku, part of the Tiwanaku complex near Lake Titicaca, enormous blocks of andesite and red sandstone lie scattered like the remnants of a lost machine. Some weigh over 130 tons. The precision of their cuts is astonishing. Right angles, drill holes, and interlocking grooves so fine they appear machined. Mainstream archaeology dates the site to around 500 CE, but local legends speak of a time before the flood when the gods, known as the Viracochas, descended and built the site, using sound or light to move the stones. Geological studies have shown that much of the region's landscape was drastically altered by massive flooding thousands of years earlier, possibly linked to the same global deluge that ended the Ice Age. Could Puma Punku's stones be remnants of that forgotten epoch? Even more compelling is the alignment of ancient sites worldwide, from Giza to Machu Picchu, from Easter Island to Angkor Wat. Many megalithic monuments seem to align with specific stars, or lie along great circles mapped by modern research. The precision suggests a global awareness of astronomy that should not have existed in the Stone Age. Could it be that these structures were part of a worldwide network, a shared legacy from an earlier civilization destroyed by flood and fire? Myths from nearly every culture tell a similar story. Gods are advanced beings instructing humans to build in stone, to preserve knowledge, to align temples with the heavens. The Sumerian flood myth, older than Genesis, speaks of antediluvian kings who ruled for tens of thousands of years before the deluge swept them away. Plato's account of Atlantis describes a powerful island nation that sank in a single day and night of misfortune around 9,6 BC, the very same period that coincides with the end of the Younger Dryas and the flooding of coastal regions worldwide. Could the survivors of that disaster have spread across the globe, seeding civilizations that built the megaliths we now puzzle over? The evidence, while fragmentary, is tantalizing. Ancient texts speak of Zep-Tepi, the first time a golden age when gods ruled the earth and built monuments aligned with the stars. In South America, the Inca told of Viracocha, the bearded god who brought knowledge of construction and civilization after a great flood. In Mesopotamia, Enki saved humanity from the deluge by warning Utnapishtim to build an ark. Across the Pacific, Polynesian myths tell of a drowned homeland, and Native American legends describe ancestors who fled rising waters. These stories, separated by oceans yet strikingly similar, may preserve a shared human memory of a real global catastrophe. If an advanced pre-flood civilization did exist, its destruction would explain the sudden appearance of advanced building techniques, astronomy, and mythology in early, post-flood cultures. The survivors, scattered and diminished, may have rebuilt fragments of their lost world, teaching early humans what they remembered. Over time, their knowledge faded into legend, and the megaliths they left behind became sacred, mysterious, and eternal. Yet for all our speculation, stone remains the only witness. Modern archaeology continues to uncover new puzzles. In Indonesia, at Gunung Padang, a massive hill long thought to be natural was found to conceal layers of man-made stone terraces and chambers dating back over 20,000 years, far older than any known civilization. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed geometric structures beneath volcanic rock, suggesting deliberate design. If confirmed, Gunung Padang could be the oldest megalithic site on Earth, a true relic of a pre-flood world. Science may one day settle the debate, but the mystery endures because the megaliths themselves defy simplicity. They are too vast, too precise, too spiritually charged to belong only to their immediate builders. They carry whispers of continuity, the idea that humanity's story did not begin from nothing, but is a cycle of rise, fall, and rebirth. The Great Flood may have erased cities, libraries, and memories, but it could not wash away the stones. Across continents, they stand as silent archives of lost ages, markers of an unbroken human desire to understand the cosmos and our place within it. The builders, whoever they were, shared a common vision to anchor eternity in stone, to make the invisible visible, as modern humanity faces its own environmental challenges. Perhaps the megaliths serve as warnings as much as wonders. They remind us that nature's power can wipe away civilizations in an instant, that floods, earthquakes, and fires have done so before. But they also remind us that even in the face of destruction, knowledge and faith can survive in the things we build and remember. From Göbekli Tepe to Baalbek, from the Sphinx to Puma Punku, the stones still speak. They tell us that we have forgotten more than we remember, that history is not a straight line but a circle, and somewhere beneath the oceans, beneath the sands, beneath the myths, lie the buried cities of our forgotten ancestors, the last traces of the world that came before the flood. Perhaps someday we will uncover them fully. Perhaps science and myth will meet, and we will finally know the truth of those who built the first great stones. Until then, the question endures, carved in silence, written in granite, echoing across time. Who built the ancient megaliths before the Great Flood?